Welcome back. This is episode 146 of the Raising Wild Hearts podcast. I'm Ryann Watkin, and today I'm sitting down with Katharine Giovanni to talk all about forgiveness. None of the work I have explored about forgiveness talks about it quite like Katharine does. It's not about being kind or spiritual or a bigger person. It's about finally getting someone out of your head. Yes, that's right. It's about clearing the energy about whatever it was that happened that you keep grinding your gears about. And, days, weeks, sometimes months or years or decades later. Also, we talk about self-forgiveness because, of course, we screw up too. So I'm curious if you have something that you're up at night about, one of those 2 a.m., like eyes wide open, the blood pumping through. For me, 9 times out of 10, it's something that needs to be forgiven, whether that's myself or somebody else. This episode offers a radical, practical, and easy way to finally forgive yourself and others, to put your nervous system at ease without excusing harm and saying, like, it's okay that you did this unforgivable thing to me. This is about finally getting the inner peace that you deserve. So, Katharine Giovanni is a 3-time award-winning best-selling author. She's an international speaker, and she's a transformation mentor who helps people release guilt and shame and finally forgive. She teaches a very simple step-by-step process, which we go through in the episode, that goes beyond just let it go. And she teaches people how to actually heal. Like source deep compassion, let go of long-held emotional addictions, and really just reconnect to your inner wisdom. She's written over a dozen books, including The Ultimate Path to Forgiveness, Unlocking Your Power, which is on my virtual nightstand right now. And today she's going to teach us finally how to get peace. Let's jump into my conversation with Katharine Giovanni. Katharine, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
The place that I want to jump off is I heard you say that forgiveness is selfish. Can you tell us why that is?
Everybody teaches you how to forgive. Everybody. Your pastor, your minister, if you will, your parents, your teachers. Everybody says to forgive. Okay, how? How? Nobody teaches you how. And what if you don't want to? What if it's an unforgivable act? How do you forgive that? I don't want to. Then here's the big one. They don't deserve my forgiveness. No, they don't. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you. They're still a dumpster fire. They still have amends to make. Just because, and here's the big fallacy, if you will. It's the big lie that everybody tells you. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I want a relationship with you. I probably don't. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean all of a sudden I'm saying you were right and I was wrong. It does not. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I want to go out for coffee again or come over to your house. It's selfish. The formal definition of forgiveness for me is real simple. I want you out of my head. Period. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because I want you out of my head. And it's not like AA, with all due respect. You don't have to reach out and talk to these people. You do it alone in the privacy of your own home. Nobody has to know unless you tell them.
I love that. So the good and the bad news is that this is actually an inside job, Katharine. Yeah?
Yes. Yes, this is an inside job. A lot of people look at me and say, well, I had a horrible childhood. Well, a lot of us did. I had alcoholic parents, tried to commit suicide in the 8th grade. Connect the dots. I mean, it was Armageddon half the time. But I'm only asking you to go back there a few more times. Forgiveness, here's another fallacy. Here's another lie they tell you. Forgive and forget. Okay. I'm from New York City originally, and I could speak for everybody in New York City. We don't forget anything. So that's not going to happen. I do remember it, but what's gonna happen is your perspective is going to change. I can look back in my childhood and I could pull out the funny things. I could see the love that was trying the people that were trying to help that kid. I can see what happened around her. Do I remember the bad stuff that happened? I could if you wanted me to. But now when I look back at my childhood, I see the love. I don't see the hate as much. Okay,
Mm,
Catherine, well, I didn't have any love in my childhood. That's fair. That's completely fair. Not everybody did. But you had one teacher, one friend, you had a dog, you had a cat. There was somebody in your life, the social worker, somebody who cared. That's probably who you will remember.
yeah. Are we, generally speaking, just like addicted to feeling like crap? Is that why we want to hang on to this like anger and resentment and sadness? Because even though we say it doesn't feel good, it's almost as if we're addicted to this familiar feeling. Do you have a sense of if that's true or not?
Love this question. It's your set point. Your body is used to chaos. Your body is used to having to survive to get money. Your body is used to the drama. So when you move out of that, you move out of the chaos, you move into you've won the lottery and you've got $50,000 in the bank, your body is going, oh, well, that's new. I don't like that. That feels wrong. So it's going to bring you back to your set point, which is great for your body. But now your brain is going, oh, damn, I'm back where I started. So it's a matter of moving beyond your set point. And you know it's coming, right? How do you move beyond your set point? You practice my forgiveness system. That's
Mm,
one of the ways. There are many ways you can move beyond your set point, but one of them is to forgive all the people, places, and things. I did say places and things, hang with me, that are in your life that are causing your body to go back to set point.
yep. Yeah, one of the many reasons I love your work so much is that you dive into, and you hinted at this a little bit, you dive into the energetics and the energy of situations. We're not just talking like quote unquote facts here. We're talking about the energy that surrounds the people, the events, and the things, including money, which you said, in our lives. So, will you break down for somebody who's listening right now and who's like, energy of the people, energy of the things, huh? Will you give us like a super 101 of what that really means?
Everything on our planet, and science has proved this beyond a shadow of a doubt, that everything on our planet has an energy field around it, including this little silver microphone that I'm speaking into right now, an inanimate object. It has an energy field around it. So people come up to me and say, Catherine, I did do the work. Yeah, you did. You did do the work. You managed to forgive the person, but you keep getting triggered by the person. Why? Because you didn't, here's the big one, here's the special sauce. You didn't forgive the energy around the person. That's the piece. And let's say it was an unforgivable person. How do you forgive the unforgivable person? Well, I'm going to be the only one on the planet that's going to look you dead in the eye and say, you don't have to forgive the unforgivable. Let me say it again. You don't have to forgive the unforgivable person because there are a lot of things in this world that are truly unforgivable. But there's a lot of other things within that memory that you can forgive. There's energy around it. So you can't forgive the unforgivable person, so you forgive the table, the bed, the chair, the city, the town, the park, the bench, and the energy around these things. I haven't forgiven the person yet. Okay, tap in. Can you forgive them now? No, pick another memory. I forgive the house. I forgive the turkey that was in the middle of the table. I forgive the chair that I was sitting in. I forgive the people who didn't help me.
Yeah.
That's how you slowly chip away at those number 10s. But the system is going to teach you to start with the easy ones. Everybody listening to this broadcast, 10 out of 10 people, including yourself, are thinking of their number 10 unforgivable, they hurt me desperately person. That's why nobody wants to forgive, because your body, your knee jerk reaction is automatically going to the worst case person. And that's fair. And that's where everybody's, that's where mine went. But we're gonna do those dumpster fires last. I want you to start with the easy ones. I want you to start with the kid who cheated on your paper or something in school or put a stain in your sweater, or the person who took your parking space and you had your blinker on, you know, or the person who you got shopping cart road rage in the grocery store in aisle 4. This is a thing, people. And you forgive that person. They were in a hurry. They had 10 kids and they just had a few moments to themselves. You could forgive these people. And as you chip away at these things, your world is going to up and your energy field is going to lighten up. You're going to start to
Yeah.
feel better.
Yeah, you're going to start to feel better. So, what I'm hearing you say is that this is all about the way that we feel in our own bodies and our own experiences. And it makes me think of that quote, something like, drinking poison. Oh, no, resentment
And
is like
Buddha,
drinking poison and waiting for the
eating,
other person to die.
that's
And it's
exactly right.
and it's like the only person that us hanging on to our, self-righteous grudge is hurting is ourselves. Like, what the heck? So when we realize this, like when we can say, okay, the only person that's hurting is me, we can start to actually do that work. So let's talk about what that work brings up. Let's say I'm sitting, in traffic and I think about that one thing that happened to me when I was 11 years old and I'm like, ugh, and I get that cringy feeling again. Where do I start?
Well, before I do that, let me give everybody a visual. And if you're listening to this broadcast, I'm going to talk you through it, so don't worry about it. I'm holding a purple coffee cup in front of me. Now, and the purple coffee cup represents anger. So when I first get angry, easy to hold it off to the side. It's not that heavy. You and I could be in a session together and you're like, Catherine, you got to let go of your anger. And I'm going to say, Ryan, it's easy. No, I got this, man. I'm not angry. I'm fine. I might say it through clenched teeth, but I'm fine. But here's the thing about humans. Humans irritate other humans and family will completely mess you up. So the more you hold on to the anger, you're going to keep putting more anger into the cup. And everyday life, you're going to get cut off in traffic, more anger into the cup. Well, the cup's starting to get heavy now. So now I'm using two hands to hold up the cup. Look at my body language. I can still conduct my life. I can still hold the anger off to the side, but it's starting to hurt. The cup is starting to get heavy. And if I continue stubbornly not let go of any of the anger because I got this. Eventually, now I'm holding the cup in front of my face. I can't see anything anymore. I can't even see you. My dream relationship just walked through the door. I didn't see it because I'm so focused on the anger. It's now in my conversations. I'm thinking it, I'm breathing it. I'm losing friends and family because it's all I'm talking about. And who wants to be around me? I'm negative all the time. So by using my system, and I'll teach the system step by step if you like, by using the system, by forgiving the easy ones, now look at my body language. Now it's back off to the side. And all I did was forgive the easy ones. And eventually I could put the cup down. Now look, I've got both hands. I can see business opportunities. I can say money-making opportunities. I can become my authentic self. Why couldn't I do that before? Because I was so focused on the anger in my life and politics and the world and humanity, I didn't pay attention to everything else around me.
Wow. Wow. So for some reason, I'm thinking about, activists and everybody who's like trying to change the world with this rage and this anger. And, I think it's why I always say, like, we can change the world by starting at home because this is where it starts. Like, we're not going to go out and march the streets enraged with anger and change anybody's mind, right? Like, we have to show up loving. We have to take intentional, loving, thoughtful, smart action in our lives. And that doesn't happen when we're so flipping
Right?
angry.
There are
Yeah.
some monks that are walking from Texas to Washington, D.C. Look them up. It's called the Peace Walk. I think it's the Peace Walk. and all they're doing is walking with their dog. I love the dog. They're just walking, and they're getting thousands of people lining the streets, and they are talking, they're Buddhists, but they're just walking. That's all they're doing. They're not angry, they're not enraged, they're not yelling at people, they're just walking.
Yeah.
And that they're preaching what I'm talking, mind, body, and spirit. But I
Yeah.
wanna be clear with people, I really, really, really want you to start with the easy ones. I know you wanna start with the hard ones, or you just don't wanna do this at all because you don't wanna forgive them. They don't deserve your forgiveness. No, they don't. You're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. I'm repeating myself purposely.
Yeah.
But I want you to start with the easy ones.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about the big ones? Okay, so we're starting with the easy ones, we promise, right, everybody? Yes, nod your head if you're here with us still. Yes, we're going to start with the easy ones. And I think what feels so like big and overwhelming about the hard ones is that it's like in so many cases there were so many little and big actions and times and events, especially if we're talking about like parents or family of origin, like,
Yeah,
there's so much that it all becomes like this big cloud, and then it's just we just associate the person with anger because of all those different events. So, in that
do.
case, after we've done our little ones, after we've read your book, how do we start to dive into those big ones? Just like one event as at a time as it comes into our mind? Like, do we just start by holding that person in our mind and forgive that through the matrix? Like, the forgiveness matrix to be clear. Um, what do we do? How do we start?
Well, let's start with the easy ones, and then I'll explain how to do the unforgivable ones. With what I
Okay.
want everybody to do, and this is the hardest part of the system, is I really want you to turn your phones off. I know you're twitching. I get it. And if you can't physically turn your phones off for like 20 minutes, turn the volume off. Don't have it vibrate because it's going to twitch in your desk and you're going to want to see who just texted you. I just want you to be alone with no human beings in the room. You can have your dog if you can be quiet, but I want you alone for like 15, 20 minutes. Then I want you to grab a pad of paper and a pen or your laptop. I really don't care. And I want you to write down all the people you need to forgive. Now, your first 5 are gonna be the ones that hurt the most. They're gonna be the ones that sting. I get that, but keep going. Think about your childhood. Think about grammar school and high school. Think about the time you got bullied. Think about the woman who borrowed your sweater and returned it because she washed it and it's 3 sizes too small. Think about those types of things. And then once you have your list together, I want you to rate these people between 1 and 10. 1 being easy, 10 being hard. I want a number next to each name. Now, I don't care if you have 20 number 7s. I really don't care. I don't care if you skip a number. Also don't care. This is your party. What I do care about is when you do the system, I want you to start with the number 1s. Now look at your first number 1. I don't care who it is. With me, it was somebody I went to high school with. And I want you to sit in me, I was in my bed in alone in my bedroom. Anywhere in your house, under a tree, don't care. Now I want you to imagine that the person is standing in front of you, not the adult. In my case, it was somebody I went to school with. I want you to imagine the kid as you knew them then. And then here's the part where you can get closure with people. Let her have it. Let them have it. Say anything you like. You're alone in a room. Get it all out. You can forgive dead people because where they are or are not doesn't matter a lick. If they're alive and well in your head, you can forgive them. Doesn't matter where they are. So say anything you like. Because they're a level 1 person, you're probably not going to say very much because it's stupid easy. Now, I want you to put your hand in your heart after you've gotten all your words out, right? And if you can't imagine the person standing in front of you, put a chair in front of you and talk to the chair.
So
You
we're
could
not
even put,
closing our eyes and doing this in our mind. We're actually like eyes
no, out
open,
loud
like,
in the room.
okay, out loud. All right. That's
You
why
can
we need to be
scream,
alone.
you can cry, you're alone in a room. If it feels
Yeah.
weird talking to a chair or talking to nothing, then do it in your mind by all means.
Yeah.
But you're alone. This is why I want you to alone. And once you've gotten it all out, then I want you to put your hand in your heart, and that's really just to remind you to say the words from your heart. And I want you to say, I completely forgive Ryan. I completely forgive the energy around Ryan. I completely forgive myself. I forgive the energy around myself. I forgive the energy around the entire relationship. And so it is. Amen. Go with God. End it any way you like. Now check in with your body. Are you still angry? No? Is it gone? Cross out the 1, put a 0. Was this a level 5 person? You check in with your body? Still some anger there? Not gone? Okay, either keep the 5 or cross it down. Maybe it's down to a 4. Progress. This happened to a friend of mine, and she was actually sitting right in front of me at the time. It was a level 5 person. We both assumed easy. She checked in with her body and it shot up to a 10.
Oh,
What happened? Well, you
yeah.
see, your brain is a beautiful instrument, and there's a closet in the back of your head, and it's padlocked, and your brain is protecting you. And there's a movie running in the back of your mind. You don't know it's there. You don't know the movie is running. It's in a closet in the back. And what you just did is you opened the closet. Your brain is like, oh, Ryan is ready for this stuff. And it flooded your head with memories you didn't know were there. And now she was angry. So she crossed out the 5, put it at a 10, put the person at the back of the list, and we kept going.
Yep.
Don't judge yourself.
Yep.
Don't judge the previous version of you, because that version did the best they could to survive. That version used the tools they had at the time. We could be talking about yesterday. I don't care. You used the tools that you had. Don't judge that person. Judge the younger you with love,
Yeah.
because this is what we're doing. And as you move up, you're going to start to feel better. Now, a little PSA. I don't want you guys to make yourself sick. Do as I say, not as I did. I am an overachiever. I know that's a shocker. I know. Sorry. And I am my own guinea pig. And when I did this exercise, I must have had 50 people down on my list. I was very angry, and I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to forgive everybody on this list, and I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. I'm going to be a brand new person. I'm going to be like a butterfly coming out of a cocoon, a phoenix rising from the ashes. Okay. Didn't work out the way I thought it to, because I did forgive many people on the list, and I do, with every fiber of my being, want you to do this before bed, because your body heals itself at night when it's sleeping. So I really want you to do this at night after dinner. And when I woke up the next morning after forgiving entirely too many people, I spent the next 3 days in bed with what everybody thought was a stomach flu. It was not the
Mm.
stomach flu. An American Indian told me what it was many, many years ago. It was what they call energy sickness. I could explain it through science. There was a study done called the Japanese Water Study. And if you Google that, you will absolutely find it on the first page of Google. It was done by a guy named Masumoto. I can never get his name right. Anyways, what
Yeah,
he did,
Dr. Masaru Emoto, I believe,
that's
right?
the one. I never get
Okay.
his name right.
Yeah.
And what he did, and in the interest of time, I'll just say it really fast. He took several containers of water. One container of water, all he did was speak to it. He said loving words to it. Beautiful words. I love you type of words. The other container of water, hate speech. The most hated, horrible things you could say to a human, he said to this water. He then froze the water and put it under a microscope. The water he spoke love to, beautiful formations. The water he spoke hate to, these black and brown, sick malformations, ugly looking things. So why am I telling you this? Because your self-talk and your anger, you're literally changing the water cells within your own body. The human body is over, what is it, 95% water?
It's a
So when
lot.
you
Yeah.
are angry and when you're saying these horrible things to yourself, oh, I'm a piece of crap. Oh, that kind of thing. What do you think you're doing to the water cells in your body? When you forgive too many people at a time, your body needs to transmute all those water cells and all that energy and get them out. So I really only want you to do 10 at a time if they're between a level 1 and 7. And if you're doing an 8, a 9, or 10, 1 a night, 1 a night,
Okay.
because I don't want you to get energy sickness. And I've
Yeah,
had a
please.
couple of clients who have emailed me and said with very contrite emails, they said, "Should have listened to you." And I said, "What? You make yourself sick?" "Yeah, I've been in bed for days."
Yep.
Like, well,
Yep.
it's kind of like the Peanuts back when the teacher goes, "Wah, wah, 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 wah." Yeah, no, yeah, it's kind of
Because we want,
I shouldn't
the
laugh, I
silver
gotta
bullet.
say.
We want what's quick. We want the
Mhm.
shortcut. We want the hack or the tip or the trick or the tool. And the reality is that this is like, I don't want to say lifelong work, right? We have to put it down at some point, but this is a good chunk of work, I would imagine. Or is this lifelong work?
Um, I wish I could give you the answer you're desperately seeking here. Um, I wrote the book on it, literally, and I don't do the forgiveness practice every night because I've been doing this for years and years and years, but I still do it. Humans do irritate other humans, and something is gonna make you mad. You can forgive anything. You can forgive the war in the Middle East. You can forgive politicians, not going there. You can forgive anything if it makes you mad. Anything on CNN, you can forgive.
Yeah.
Anything. Now, when it comes to your unforgivables, that's a different kettle of fish. When it comes to money, money is simply energy. You can forgive money. Money is energy. You forgive energy. You forgive yourself for having to take that apartment that was over a fish market. Oh, well, that was mine? Yeah, yeah, it was right over a fish market in New York City. Can you and anybody who says I had the worst first apartment, it's a pissing contest. I win every time. It was over a fish market. But in my defense, it was cheap and we couldn't afford anything else.
Right.
You can forgive yourself for that. You can forgive yourself for not getting the job. You can forgive yourself for always having more time than money. It's energy. So instead of writing down the top 10 people you want to forgive, you write down the top things about events regarding money. And then you rate them from 1 to 10 and you slowly go up the list. You do the
Mm,
same thing for forgiving yourself. Hello. There are many things that you need to forgive yourself: events, people, places, things missed. Write them all down. Write the events, give the event a name. Write down the people, write down the places. Rate them from 1 to 10. Start with 1, move your way all the way up the list.
yeah. Well, you know what was interesting too? In chapter 7, The Unforgivable, you say, forgive yourself for becoming the person you needed to be in order to
True.
endure and survive. It's like, whoa. So
I
this
almost want
has,
you to say that twice for the people in the back
yes,
who aren't paying
you,
attention.
that's right. Forgive yourself for
Mhm.
becoming the person you needed to be in order to endure and survive.
And if you can't forgive yourself, I want you to chip away at it. What do I mean by that? Let's say my father was one of my number 10s. I have forgiven him. He has passed away. He's been dead for, oh my gosh, 30 years. And I like to tell you that I have a good relationship with him today. And he's dead. This is what I mean. You could forgive dead people.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time. You're not going to get a number 10 down to a 1 overnight, people. It is not going to happen. This is going to take a minute. It took me months to get my father down. And when I made that first pass, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I didn't want to forgive dad. So I just forgave the energy around my father, didn't forgive the man himself. I forgave the energy. And then I had a friend who was so mad at one of her parents, she didn't even want to forgive the energy. Okay, so if you're one of those people, and it could be yourself we're talking about, you're just too mad, you're just kicking yourself. I want you to pull apart the memories. Let me give you an example. You're driving to work and you had a beautiful morning. The coffee was hot. It's a beautiful blue sky day. The weather is perfect. You woke up perfect right before your alarm. Everything, the shower was hot.
Great hair
Everything went
day.
perfect. Oh,
Yeah.
everything went perfect. And you have a huge presentation and you are ready for this presentation. You've been practicing for weeks. Big, huge client. So you get in your car and you go to the stop sign and you always turn left. But this day, the little bird in your shoulder, another book that I wrote because of course I did. The little bird in your shoulder told you to turn right, and you listened, and it took you by your old high school. So you didn't pay any attention. You got to work and you bombed the presentation and you started to snap at people. And everybody's looking at you and saying, Catherine, what happened? You know this stuff. And you're like, I don't know. I've had the perfectly nice day. There's nothing going on in my life. I have no idea why it happened. I know. Your subconscious saw your high school. You were bullied in that high school. And it saw it and it opened that closet in the back of your head. So how do you stop the triggers? It was a trigger. I want you to pull apart the memory. Don't forgive the bully. I was bullied. Don't, so I forgave, and I'm actually serious. I'm not even being funny. I forgave the desk that I sat at in grammar school. I forgave the chair that I sat in. I said, I completely forgive the chair. I forgive the energy around the chair. I forgive the desk. I forgive the energy around the desk. I forgave the room where we were. I forgave the building. I forgave the park. I forgave the swing set. I forgave the kids who stood around and didn't help me. I forgave New York City. I forgave 1974. Why did I forgive 1974? Because that's the year I tried to commit suicide. And it was a horrible year. And I pulled apart all the players. But now when I go back to New York, I was raised in Manhattan. When I go back and I walk, I go back to that childhood home, I don't have a visceral reaction anymore. I could actually look at it and remember the good times. I forgave the building. I forgave the number. I forgave the street. I forgave the date on the calendar. You see what I'm doing? And once
Yeah.
you forgive all of those things, go back to the person. Could I forgive my father? I finally could after forgiving all these things. And he went from a 10 to a 9. I know that bites because you would think after all that, he should go down to a 7. No, he went to a 9. Thank you very much. Because I was still mad at him. And it took me a while to continually, by using this method and pulling apart the memories, I was able to get somebody I thought I would die not forgiving all the way down to now I've completely forgiven him. And I went on record saying, I will never forgive this man. And I did. But
Wow.
it took a long time. 10, 8, 9s, and 10s, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm from New York. I don't sugarcoat anything. But they're a bear. They're hard. This is why we do it last. And by the time you get to your 8, 9s, and 10s, you're going to feel better. You're going to start losing weight. There's a reason to do this method. You might even be attracting more money. You're going to be happier. And people are going to notice. They're going to say, Ryan, what are you doing differently? Is that a new haircut or a new outfit? Did you lose some weight? You look so good today. Well,
It's
of course you
forgiveness.
do.
Doesn't it look great on me?
I know. It's the energy. It's the energy. And you
Yep.
could forgive money. You could forgive yourself. You can forgive that building where you used to live. All of this is forgivable.
Yeah. I love this. This is a brand new conversation from anything I've explored with forgiveness before. This is brand new.
Uh-huh.
And it's interesting that we're talking so much about the energetics of it, because one of the things I perceive that many listening, many with us right now, need to, including myself, forgive the energetics that were kind of created in our home, that our parents didn't know how to create an energetic of unconditional love or
No, they didn't.
safety or peace. And so what they kind of, spewed out, for lack of a better term, was frustration, this sense of, anxiety, this and without even thinking that anything was wrong, right? They're doing the best they can with the tools they have. We hear that a lot, blah blah blah. I'd like to argue like did they though? But 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 really um
I'm right there with you, Ryan, on that one. But
yeah,
did you
but
really? Yeah, and I
really
can. My
cuz
parents are both dead, so I can safely say that. But I'm riding with you on that one.
right. There were books, there were TV shows,
Could have
Oprah was around.
tried.
Yeah, right. Right. And the truth is probably like their soul's journey was to, push up against us so much so that we could, bloom into this work that we do today, right? We
It
could
still
like we
sucks. It's
it
true, but it still
still
sucks.
sucked. It
Yes,
still
I was
sucks.
born into this family so I could raise their vibration. I'm being very woo-woo. I could raise their vibration and heal the family. Okay, good for them, sucks for me. Let's be honest.
Totally.
If
Like,
I'm up in
you look
heaven and
around.
I wanna do this again, you need to float over and smack me across the side of the head and say, "Remember what last that happened last time, Kath? We don't wanna do that again."
Totally. I just imagine myself as a baby looking around being like, "Oh, shit, not this
Exactly.
assignment, not
But
this
see,
one."
this is all forgivable. Let's take money, for example. You can forgive your parents' attitude toward money. You can forgive your father for having, for the money slipping through his fingers. You can forgive your parents for not paying the bills. You can forgive them for always making you hungry because you didn't have enough money for food. You can
Yeah.
forgive those attitudes. You can forgive your parents for the anger or the frustration. You can forgive the emotions and just pull out the emotions one by one. Pick apart your childhood. You can forgive the adults who didn't help and they should have, or the teachers that should have noticed but didn't. The neighbor that should have noticed that you were getting abused but didn't. All of this is forgivable. If it's a big, huge bear, you pull it apart in chunks. And if the only chunk you can pull apart is the feeling, forgive the feeling and start there. Okay, Kath, I can't forgive anything. Okay, start with I completely forgive myself for not being able to forgive in the energy around that thought.
Yeah.
And
So
if
I
that's
wanna
all
share.
you can say that 3 times a night for a week. I completely forgive myself for not being able to forgive and the energy around these thoughts. Just say that every night for a week and then make your list. And then start with the easy ones because that's going to start opening up those back closets. But if your childhood was that dark, and I know people whose childhood was that dark, they can't even bring themselves to forgive feelings. That's how bad it was. Start with that thought. And your brain is a beautiful tool, and the universe is very loving, and it will flow to you the memories that you can handle. And you slowly forgive those memories, and it'll probably flow you the easy ones. But if you get the hard one, no, put it at the back of the list. Don't even entertain it.
Yeah. It's like going to the gym for the first time after a while. You gotta build up the muscles.
You mean all the people that go to the gym in January and by February they've already tanked it? Yeah, you wanna talk about
Exactly,
that?
see? Tis the season. People know what I'm talking about here. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
so you need to practice, you need to build up to those ones that feel so big that you don't even know where to start. You gotta,
Right.
yeah. And for some reason, I'm perceiving that it might be easier after somebody has left this earth and transitioned. Like, I don't know why, but I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just wait. Like, my dad died. So I think we did have, some peace, like, after he died. Of course, I didn't go through this process. I didn't know that this process then. But so I'm like, "Oh, this is a new lens for me to look at our relationship through." Forgive him for dying when I was on my way to go see him on his deathbed, right? Because
Right.
I'm like, "You
You can
couldn't have
forgive
waited?"
that.
I can forgive that.
Yeah.
I can forgive,
Yeah.
his inability to, a number of different things, right? And so we're just picking out the small things. We're not like, you're forgiven, all done. We're just picking out the very tiny things that come up as we do this work.
And here's something that you probably don't wanna hear. There's also something called residual energy. Do you know when you wash a glass in the dishwasher and you pull it out and there's a film on it and sometimes you have to
Yeah.
rinse the glass before you use it?
Mhm.
I got my father from a 10 to a 1, and then I went back the other way up the scale because I realized that I probably had done things to him that I probably shouldn't have said, because I was angry at the time. So then I added him to I need to forgive myself kind of list, and I went the back the other way. But you might get some residual energy. You'll smell something. Maybe they like to make apple pies and you'll see an apple pie and something will zing your brain. Is it because you're gonna be angry again? No, it won't go back up to a 10. It might go up to a 3 or a 4, easily tossed, but that's called residual anger. And eventually the residual anger, which is completely clearable, goes away too, to the point where now I've completely forgiven my father and I can talk about him to anybody who wants me to. The good, the bad, and the ugly. He was who he was. And I could talk about it without spitting.
Right. So it becomes this neutrality where when you think about an event, it doesn't, you said zing. I like that. It doesn't give you this like rush of adrenaline, this like rush of cortisol, which we
No, it
all, I
doesn't, it
know.
doesn't.
Yeah,
I was on,
it's
a
done.
couple years back, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've had a lot of business partners over the years because I am just that old. And I was on Facebook at one point and I saw an old business partner of mine, and usually that sent me to the ceiling. You'd have to scrape me off. I'd be calling my bestie, who, poor thing, always gets those calls. And I was, I'd be down there talking to my husband of 33 years, and I was looking at her face. I think it was her birthday or something. And I thought, I'm not angry. And I caught myself and I thought, wait a minute. I don't care. I don't care. That's what I'm looking for. You're not going to care good. You're not going to care bad. You worded it perfectly. You're neutral. That's freedom. That's joy. That means they're out of your head. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for neutrality. You can meet them at a party, shake their hand, and you freaking, excuse my language, won't give a damn.
Yep.
Now, will there be some residual anger? Sure. We're human. That's sadly, we're all human. But you're not going to be a 10 anymore. You're literally not going to care. You're not. You're not going to
The
care.
charge is removed.
The emotional charge will be gone.
Yep. So I'm sensing that one of the keys to happiness for you is forgiveness, Catherine. What is that true, first of all? And then what is happiness to you? Because we talked a little bit about happiness before we started recording.
Um, Forgiveness, it is happiness, to be able to live life, and no human on the earth can go through life without having some kind of anger in their body, because that's what humanity is. You'll see something on the news and, pff, you'll go off. But happiness to me is being able to get through life with on kind of like on a bed of love. And I'm not trying to be woo woo or anything. And I'm not saying I live in a happy bubble, although I really, really want to. It's it's all about kindness. It's all about gratitude. It's all about the mantra I've had for years, and I'm happy to say both my sons do too, is we all try and leave people better than we find them. And if that means I have to joke around and get them to laugh, or I'm in a grocery store and I compliment their shoes because I feel the energy, I'm really intuitive and I feel some dark energy coming off them, I will do that. I try and leave people better than I find them, and that's kind of my mantra.
I love that. We say that like at parks or, the beach here when we go to the beach with our kids, but I'm going to start saying that about people too. I think that's a beautiful takeaway. What's one thing that people really get wrong about forgiveness, Catherine?
Thing that people get wrong about forgiveness is they think I'm forgiving for them, and I have to tell them and I have to let them back into my life, and now I'm telling you that you were right and I was wrong, and maybe I was stupid and I shouldn't have felt that way. Wrong. Or maybe my sister is saying, well, I don't remember dad that way, so I can't imagine. You're wrong. You made it up. You made it up. You made it up. You're not remembering our childhood correctly. You made it up. Okay.
Mm,
No, I didn't. Two people can be born to the same parents and have two totally different childhoods.
yep.
So, and your memory is your memory. With all due respect to your sister or brother or family member, I don't care about them. I care about you. And if it was real in your head, that's what I care about. So you're forgiving for you. Your list is for you. It's for nobody else. There's nobody to be looking over your eye and say that didn't happen, or you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be like. No, this is for you. You write down what you want. You do it in the privacy of your own home. You forgive for you. You don't forgive for them. They don't deserve it. You forgive for you because you're the prisoner. And going full circle back to that Buddha quote, Being angry is, and I always get it wrong too, but being angry is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. This forgiveness system is gonna get the poison out of your body. We don't
Yep.
care about the other ones, because we don't. With all due respect, don't care. Don't
Yeah.
care.
So, everybody, right now, run out and get the book. It's so good. The Ultimate Path to Forgiveness Unlocking Your Power by Katharine Giovanni. Katharine, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.